So guys, while on a bit of a break, I've managed to edit some of this footage that we recorded last week with a number of community members. Scopely, ignore the players at your peril. A bunch of the guys jump in to discuss the state of the game in November 2019. Okay, so state of the game, guys, fire away when you're ready.
I'll tell you my head's been at, really. I'll kick off, because it's one thing I've been very concerned about for a long time now. Is, and talking to you tonight has encouraged me a little bit, because you've said that you feel there's things coming that I was beginning to question whether they were ever going to arrive or whether it was ever going to happen. But I've been very concerned in terms of, obviously we've known for a long time that level 39 was the cap at the minute. We've been out into deep space. We found empty system after empty system and things like that, and waiting on development, waiting on that. And in the meantime, it's felt to me, or I've been very concerned, thinking, is there ever going to be any actual development of the game? Constantly, it's been just add-ons. We've had, going back to the sort of separatists and the AUG, the Devore and the lat lines, all of that kind of thing. It just felt like a rehashing of what was already in existence, repackaging, and just a simple add-on, rather than a further development of the game itself. So I've become a little bit cynical, a little bit doubtful, and therefore withdrawn from the game to a great degree, because I've just felt, well, it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, and the content is now old. It's now well worn, and yeah, that's where I'm at, really, in thinking of the state of the game. It just feels like, is there ever going to be anything in terms of development that's going to bring something new? Now, Armada's was the big hope, was the great white hope kind of thing, if you like, and what was delivered was so poor that it really did sort of confirm my suspicions and my greatest fears. So yeah, I do have massive concerns at the minute about it.
My biggest issue, to be really honest, is the fact that the game doesn't seem to be showing any innovation. As I said, it's just we are locked into an almost goldfish type server system, where the rules of each server are set by an elite group at the top of that server, and somebody who breaks these rules can be in certain ways mistreated as a player, because, as we said already, there's a reporting system, and if somebody's reported too many times, you're instantly, and you're not permitted. Now, I realise it. That's got to be there to prevent caustic people from saying things, but it's then opened the door to the fact people can be left vulnerable. There doesn't seem to be a human connection there that's saying, okay, well, that player said something, but there are ways of manipulating it so a player can't get back into their account, and everything's stagnant. Everybody's frustrated, and it's becoming a real issue, because unless the servers do open up and we have the ability to play against others and kind of open everybody's minds up to the idea that gameplay is adapted and changed, how is the game going to progress? It's all right saying, above 39 there's nothing there, but at the moment what they have, they're not really utilising. And there's certain game flaws that are just not being addressed at all. They're not discussing these problems. They're not saying to us, we're taking this in hand, we're going to change it. You look at the update stuff, and like I said, it's great that they've added a mining button. The maps are a bit easier to navigate because of the search. These are all excellent add-ons and great, but we're a year down the road. These are things that should have been done in the first 3 months. Just aren't seeing the progression of the game as quickly as it would be. And you've now got a lot of players stuck in their 30s who are just completely bored out their minds, sitting there playing mining events. Once you get a faction mining, a mining event almost becomes farcical, because it's, you're mining at such a rate, you can overtake an entire clan on your own. So I don't understand why they don't bring in a wee bit more innovation with what they've got before they start leading us on. Yeah, I saw G4 and it looks fantastic, but then a part of me goes, how does he know? Where is this? How can I get my hands on it? How can I get an idea of what's going to be happening? And it just doesn't seem to be happening for anybody. And lots of us are spending hours and hours playing the game. And like I said, you're very restricted in what you can do because the rules are set by these players who run clans and have been on the server at the start. And if you break the rules, there are actually penalties that can be applied.
There's a lot in there, Relentless.
Sorry.
No, it's no. Just to clarify, the first issue there we were talking about was the ability of players to get another player banned so that they can raid their base. That's essentially the problem that exists on a couple of servers at the moment.
Yes.
And we'd love to hear feedback from other people if that's something that they're experiencing, right? Because there is a question mark over how Scopely deal with complaints in the game and reporting functions. The report function is there. So that's something a little bit more clarity would be welcome on. Other things there in terms of information flowing between us and how you find out what's coming. We've discussed before that communication is a big problem sometimes. Now, personally, I think the communication has improved a bit with Panic doing these Q&As and stuff. It's not perfect. It's not going to answer everybody's questions, but it's better than what was there before. And we can only hope that Panic's enabled to do his job, and I've always argued he should have a team of people around him dealing with the community, so that it's not one or two and a bunch of moderators who are essentially players giving up their free time. Give the man a team, and let's get the community active and heard. And that's what we're trying to do here. And then I suppose you were talking about the level 39 cap as well there, Big Balls, and this idea of content and where the game's going. So
I'm just concerned that there's as I say, there's nothing out there. There's nothing that I'm aware of that's being developed, and I'm at a point where I'm kind of questioning, well, what's the point of progressing my account now? Why go to the next level? Because it's just more the same. In fact, it's not necessarily more the same. It's just the same made slightly harder.
I'd like to make a wee point about the communication thing, because this is a very strange game to me. I've been gaming for a lot of years, and for example, I played on War Robots, PUBG, Clash of Clans, and I've never been in a Discord server that doesn't have a voice channel, especially when it doesn't have a voice channel where there's some kind.
You're breaking up on me there, Relentless. Can anybody else?
Sorry.
A voice channel in the STFC Discord, I think is what he was saying.
Yes, because they keep going on about a sense of community, and that's an excellent thing. And we keep talking about communication, but there isn't a voice channel on the STFC Discord server, which is strange. If you go into the PUBG one, etc., it's all there. You can go on, you can speak to somebody in one of the admin teams, you can ask a question, he'll give you an answer. I'm not saying, as you said, it's always the answer you might be looking for. They don't always furnish you with all the information. They're obviously restricted in what they can tell you, but there's somebody there to talk to. But the other issue is gamers on Star Trek Fleet Command don't seem to be prepared to speak to each other. A lot of it is just text-based, and it's led to a point where people aren't communicating in the same way that they do in other games. So if people have issues and things, where normally in a game you could join a channel and say, look, I've had this login issue, I'm unable to log in, blah, blah, blah. Is anybody else suffering this? And you would then find out, yep, I'm having the same problem. And possibly somebody might find a way around about it, and that could be shared instantly through voice chat.
Do you? You're talking specifically voice chat here, because a lot of what you're saying, it's happening through text on Trek Fleet Command official Discord.
Yes, but both on their own and amongst the players in the game, there just seems to be a general poor communication system where players are using text constantly and not actually going on and actually speaking to each other, as well as the developers. And I totally agree in what you're saying about Panic. Panic should be also able to join a channel and speak to people and actually say, look guys, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing. It's good seeing development videos and the stuff that they posted on YouTube, but people want to actually talk to somebody and get a sense of direction in the game. And I feel that that's also Panic's job. you know, I realise there's others there that are there to support him, like Batman and many others. So I don't see why they couldn't have a voice channel where one of them is always present and able to go on and have a little chat and just say, look, this is you know, the event's coming up this week, or whatever kind of questions the players have. And it would also be a good forum for players to be able to go in and speak to each other and find out, you know, where there are issues. For as players, even with the rules of engagement, we keep discussing these, but if players were able to speak to other players on other servers, we would all be able to say, right, these are our rules, these work really well, but these are the rules in our server, and these aren't working well. Okay, well, you can discuss it and come to some kind of agreement.
Well, this is what we're doing now, is it not? Like, I mean, it's always been the players, even what you mentioned, Armadas and stuff like that. The players are making the content out of this, and that's something, Thaylor, you've always talked about, and Inesias, you've always talked about that, this idea that the players go and take what Scopely have given us and make something out of it themselves, because Scopely don't do that for us, you know. And Scopely would probably argue that that's what they want. Keenser certainly sounded like he was saying that in that last video. Yeah.
So, speaking about that, no. Think about this for a second. What games you played in your history, right? Where the content, okay, every content that we've received from Scopely, I'm sure had a developer and a designer and a product manager. All these people probably spent a month or two, like Augment, for example, you know, Franklin or whatever, you know, to implement. It's too expensive for them to do it. But if they give us the tools in game, right, so that we have, you know, generate our own content. And now, of course, we have PvP, but you know that only goes so far. But you know, there are ideas of battlegrounds, you know, arenas. You know, these are all ideas that have been on the community a couple times where, you know, what if I'm going to interject real quick. They're talking about a raid system, you know. Keenser mentioned that. Well, for me, I was expecting an entire system where you would warp in with your alliance, right? And then you would have this epic battle. That's a raid. You know what I'm saying? You know, they you know, not a, I get a notification on my phone, I log in, I repair my ship, press the purple button, you know, log out of the phone, wait 15 minutes, and then I get a victory message. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not Armadas.
It's not interactive at all, that isn't.
Exactly. So, I mean, we have so many ideas, and this form is, you know, what we're talking about here. It's, you know, this particular topic we're talking about what the game is, not necessarily ideas, but, you know, I hope and I know there's a lot of great ideas out there, you know, that we've been discussing, you know, either individually or in our Discords and stuff like that. And I hope some of these ideas get to developers, get to the designers, right, and get implemented. But I know the cycles are much longer than you know, players are willing to wait. And sometimes players are very fickle. Unfortunately, you know, they can't wait the 6 months.
We're impatient, aren't we? That's a fair point.
One thing I'd say, you know, you're saying that I hope developers listen. I actually hope gamers listen, and the other people that are out there, because we are a very small group here. There's only 6 of us. We only represent possibly 3 servers. I'm in 145 with somebody else on another one in the hundreds. You know, there's got to be a lot of servers out there with a lot of people. And at the end of the day, it's up to gamers to come forward and join these chats and to come and talk to each other. And at that point, try and open the game up to a wee bit more broad thinking. For example, you know, you were saying about the Armadas. I felt that the level of content put out was quite poor. But in our server, we have an agreement where you don't attack each other's Armadas. So we've been left with a 15-minute wait for an absolutely boring graphical display where your ship might or might not die depending on the power levels present, and that is it. Whereas in other servers, people would be able to come on, gamers would be able to come on and say, you know, we're out there, we're putting our Armadas out, we realise there's within 2 minutes at the next one, but we're having a jovial laugh and we're getting on and throwing some ships at it and enjoying it.
To play devil's advocate there just a little bit though, guys, Scopely will say that this game is designed, I'll go back to what I said, this game, they have designed it like this so that we will go and invent the content ourselves. This is what they're exactly.
How?
Your
we are
your
given any freedom at all.
your pizza.
Okay.
Your pizza. Your pizza picture. You remember your pizza picture?
I remember, but that's what I'm saying. In our first panel, which was in September, I think, I gave so many ideas since the raid systems, what they could give us on a raid, alliance to alliance.
I'm not
NPC
talking
bases.
here. I'm not talking about what they can implement.
Wasn't this Armadas is a flop? Is a hoax.
Massive
This
flop.
is-
Yeah.
This is nothing.
Okay, and
It's
again, to
like
be devil's
it's-
advocate, right? I'm not talking about our ideas being listened to and Scopely then going and implementing them. I'm talking about Scopely saying, "Go and play, children. This is a PvP game."
Well, look,
And
okay,
how,
on
how
that
for
topic.
example, on some servers, people, I think one of you guys said it to me earlier, I think it was you, Relentless, where you looked at some of the videos and you went, "I'd like to be on a server like that, where these guys are going out and they're attacking each other and they're having battles over their armadas and stuff like that," right?
Yes, but to do that, Amorgin, you have to have deep pockets, and not
Yes.
all of us have, the 10,000 latinum to instantly repair, their borders that gets killed 4 or 5 times, in the span of 10 minutes, or to
And
have.
obviously, if you're attacking Armada,
No,
you've got
the
to
thing
you've got to
about
buy
the
the
Armadas-
directives, don't you? Because the directives are lost. If the Armada
Yeah.
fails, the directives are lost, and therefore you've only got a finite amount of those. So
Yeah.
if you have a 1,000 directives and you launch 10 armadas and each one gets attacked and failed, you've got to spend now to get more, don't you?
And I think Thaylor had
Enjoy your
suggested
15-minute wait.
I think Thaylor had suggested getting rid of directives.
I think Armada directives are unnecessary. It's
Yeah.
it's a wall to content.
Yes.
Basically, if you really wanted to do this, just the power or the level of your ACC, your Armada Control Center, should be determinant what
Where
Armadas
you can
you'd be able to exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what about if we had? I mean, these outposts are nice and all that stuff, but what about we had different types of juggernaut ships or enemy fleets or patrols that you could only
Well,
attack with an armadas. Planet bombardment. Swarm.
Armadas-
What about swarms?
Armadas should be free.
Yes.
Yes.
Armadas
just-
should be free. We should all be only epic armadas that they are going to now release. We have 3 kinds of armadas, or we will have. Only one should be paid. All the others should be free, so people could PvP without having to spend money.
Yeah.
The thing is,
It's really this is really bad gaming.
Yeah, Scope will turn around and say it is free because you can get a very, very small amount to dailies.
Dailies,
That's
15.
You
15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need
but
100 to start one.
I know it's incredibly low and it shouldn't be that low. To do one
Should be
armada,
free.
one uncommon armada over a
Uncommon,
period, and then
maybe you should get on dailies. You should be normal armadas should be free. Rare armadas should be given on dailies, not the normal. And the epic you should be able to pay. That's how it should be.
Sounds
So
fair, that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Yeah.
just to go back to Morgan, to your point about creating content, and I do acknowledge that. I do think there is opportunity to create things within the game. For example, an idea I've discussed with Relentless is an idea of using the bosses, separatist bosses systems on a faction basis. Picking a system, say Klingon, by one alliance. Another alliance picks the Romulan boss system, and then engage in a kind of boss killing, boss defending game, whereby you count the number of bosses killed in your system, or the number of, if you like, enemy bosses that you've managed to kill. So you've both got to attack and defend the system, and you get a bit of interaction, bit of gameplay there. Certain rules can be made so you don't get one whale coming in and just being able to pulverize every ship in the system and nullify the game. So maybe at a certain level you're not allowed to attack. You can defend, because no matter what size your ship is, if there's enough ships entering a system, they can only kill one at a time. So there's enough to sort of occupy the defender whilst others attack the bosses, and then just have a bit of a point system, you know, using Discord maybe to verify kills of the bosses and then total it up at the end, you know, maybe set an hour time limit. So there are ideas like that, I think, that acknowledge what you're saying, that we can create some content.
Yes, you have to catch the flag, like raiding each other's
Yeah.
bases. But the thing is that Scopely should prevent the differentiation of wealth. This is wrong.
Not necessarily in their interest, so it is.
No,
you
that's
know.
what I'm saying. Because they want to make the whales happy. That's why they have That's why whales can a 38 whale can raid a 26 or 25 guy.
I guess
they want to keep the money coming, and
of
they
course,
are giving us shitty content.
Yeah.
I was a person that I was crazy about Armadas, thinking that this would be amazing.
We
and
all thought, yeah.
I'm so disappointed because they are I don't know the word in English, but they are creating different kinds of groups just made because of money.
Elites.
That's wrong. And even the content that we could create, it's not possible because there are no closed systems. They should have closed systems that an alliance should be able to have for, I don't know, something that would prevent others.
You're talking about different type of game modes. So you can have things like King of the Hill, where an alliance claims a system, for example, and then they have to defend it. You know, these are all ideas.
That was one of the ideas. But then that's what I'm saying. And Amorgin said, okay, it's not about they hearing your ideas; it's about you created content. But how can you create content if you are not protected at any way to create that content? Because someone can come and that is not in the game that you are making and just destroy everyone. So that's just a poor excuse of them. Create your own content. Yeah. So all the payers
before we can make our own. Before we can make our own content, we need tools in the game to do that.
Of course.
So
and there's no tools.
Right. So let's just go with that. By the way, someone's eating. Not good on the recording, by the way. For example, let's say for example, an alliance can go. Let's just play with the idea. Let's say someone can go to a system and claim it. You know, the number one alliance in your server, whatever it is, goes to a system and says, "This is ours." They go kill some boss, whatever that's there, the NPC boss, and then all the hostiles there spawn that are friendly to them, and they're hostile to everybody else. You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Now that's content. That's a tool that Scopely can implement, and then we will, the whatever server just took over, this instance, maybe a global wide galaxy message or something like that, and now it's let's see if they can keep it. I don't know.
We should have a claim button, like claim, like I claim this system, I claim this boss, or something like that.
I claim a planet.
You really are a warmonger, Inesias. You just want to go in and plant the flag and go, I claim this system.
Yeah. And it's a valid point, actually, that because there are different attitudes, and whilst they sound like great ideas, and I'd be well up for them, I also know that if we were to suggest that on our server and say, right, Alliance, top Alliance there, you go and claim the system and defend it, you'd have a lot of players going, I'm not interested in that. I just want to mine my way through, or I'm not interested in that kind of gameplay. I'm just doing my thing. And
for that,
hold on. So you need to have those tools that allow those that are interested in that game style to have that, and those that are interested in just cracking on.
Did you hear about the idea about the random missions?
No.
Real quick. Yeah, so random missions, this is something we discussed. Basically, the idea is you take, let's say you go to Romulan space, and every hub, you can go pick up these type of missions, just completely random missions. You go there, there's different type of missions. You have the donate, you have the kill, you have the deliver, whatever, right? You have that. and depending where you are determines the actors, the characters in the game. And you just make random missions, and the idea is just you just have a random mission, it is and then that's fine, and then you just go and just keep on doing these missions over and over again. You get rewards, you get faction, whatever, depending where you are. It's just random missions. It's something alternative to just sitting there killing hostiles. And that's content that those type of players could have, and it would be very easy it would be moderately easy to implement. But I think, let me just kind of steer this out. But basically, I think if we just had game modes, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That allowed us, the players, to generate content our own selves. Like, what if you had we talked about this before, a system, a wormhole you warp to, right? Where you had bands between 100,000 to 150,000, 150,000 to 200,000. Anybody with a ship, that had that power band could then warp to these systems, and you just have an event that just continuously runs 24/7 or whatever. You have leaderboards, you have capture the flag, kill death match, whatever, and then these systems where people just throw ships at, and you can repair for free or something like that. I don't know. You can do all sorts of stuff like that. Just content. And that would just be players, hey, I'm the number one on my server, blah, 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 and maybe if you can get the net code to work, you can go across servers.
Based
like they do in
on
Battlegrounds.
power level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why
ship
it's power
power
level
level,
rather than
Yes.
right, ship power level. The reason why it's ship power level versus ops level, you have levels 36s and 37s and 39s and people like that who, they've done all the missions, they've done all the content. Something like this, they can go and take their, I don't know, they can probably take their, Kira or something like that, and put it into the 200K range or something like that, and be fighting against people in their faction ships. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, great idea.
They can still have content. You see, like that. So hey, I just beat. You can be excited. You're level 25 or something like that, and you just said I just killed the number one person on my servers, Kira or whatever, in the battle.
Well, what's great about that idea as well is that it's suddenly, the ships that you've had that are now in the game currently obsolete, become relevant again, become useful again. They open up content again because you can select
exactly.
But then again, you have the shipyard where you can trade your. That doesn't exist as well. The shipyard where you can give your old ships and get
some resources.
I guarantee you.
But I've got a lot of use for full fortunates in my server. I have a lot of fun with those 4 ships.
Yeah,
that's me. But
they have. If you go to the ranks in your alliance, you have the ranks, a little button where you can see what the ranks can do, and there's a little thing there called tournament. So they thought about it. They never did nothing with that. They should do tournaments where it's not where you could put your alliance, or you could go as an individual player and would be power ship level based, and that would be something more fair. And this is very interesting that we have a game where Scopely creates shitty content, and then they just say,
Inesias, I just want to let me interject real quick. The reason the content that they generate in the game, they can't keep up. Look at, for example, Augment. When Augment came out, you had missions, you had a whole new area, you had a ship, right? I bet you all that took a lot of development time. All right, the content that Scopely can generate cannot generate fast enough for us to consume. They can't keep up and make it and still be in business. They have to give us tools to generate our own content, like we just talked about, our arenas, battlegrounds.
I understand, but
claiming systems.
Armada has been thought about since months, and then this comes out. So they had time for Armadas, and then they gave us this. So,
in my opinion, the people who design the game, and do all due respect, Keenzer and all those guys designing Keenzer, they don't play like us. They don't have, as far as I know, and I hope I'm wrong, they don't have their own personal accounts where they use their own personal money to play the game, and their time is probably diverted to all the other IPs and products that Scopely has, so they can't focus it on here. Remember, Scopely is not. This is not a. Scopely has to make money. It costs money to develop the game. It costs money to maintain the servers and stuff like that. Which, by the way, I have ideas on how to help them with that too. But I don't know if you want to talk about that now.
Yeah, I just want to get back to about the tournaments that Inesias mentioned. You know, Scope have always went on about it's a PvP game. Why there isn't a legit PvP tournament in the game? Baffles me. You know, the first thing you would imagine in a PvP game is some sort of tournament where each player can fight each other one on one and actually have rewards, not just one small chance of getting a PvP chest, like a legitimate, you know, daily or weekly or even monthly tournament with good rewards for a lot of players.
It feels sometimes, guys, like we're asking them to change their culture. You know, it feels like no matter what we say, it's not the way they do things. Like we are gonna get PvP tournaments, just not in the way that you're asking for them. We're gonna get PvP armadas in the sense that we're gonna be able to raid bases in teams, right? How that actually works, we don't know yet. I suspect it'll be an announcement on Galaxy Chat instead of in your alliance, and that it'll be a rallying call for people to come and defend that base. You know.
Well, basically, the culture. That's a good question about the culture. I don't want to sound be negative Nancy here, and I don't know what the culture is there. And of course, Scopely had videos where they show the development culture where they have their people there, and you got to remember, people say developers. It's not always the developers. It's the program managers, the product managers who make the decisions. And so you got to make sure you keep the company alive, and you have to make ways to make money.
The company is very much alive. We can see how much money they make. It's not about the money here. They are making a lot of money and giving no substantial content for the people that are not willing to spend as many as they think we should. I don't know.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. How do you get people who have not paid for the game to start paying for content? So ways to do that.
People shouldn't be asked to pay for a game to pay for a game. If they say that
the game cannot survive without people paying. Remember,
but that's what I'm saying. They are having enough money already. You can see in the internet how much money they do. So people are paying the game.
I get that, but
I think the other thing we've got to consider here is that, you've got other games on the market like PUBG. PUBG is a fantastic example of this because there is no bot content in PUBG. You can buy a pair of sunglasses, you can buy a hat, you can buy a furry bunny rabbit suit or something of that nature. But that game earns more money than any other game available on mobile. And it's not done by players simply paying. There are companies out there who are paying massive amounts of money to advertise and promote their stuff on PUBG. So I think a lot of it is that, we're looking to Scopely to provide us with more content. And I think that's a fair ask because the game has ran for a long time and we don't really seem to be getting the quality of content that we want to see. But I think they also need to, or everybody needs to realise that the only way the game's going to really progress is if we all communicate better. And that includes Scopely. And like I said, you need to get Panic and people like that in a room where people can go in and talk and say, look, this is how it's running here, this is how it's running in there. And they could give you ideas about, well, why don't you use it? Like, as we suggested, use the separate boss events as a different way of introducing smaller amounts of PvP between clans. It would annihilate any misfeeling or like you said, with pay-to-play players, they seem to feel they've ground away so long at their game that they built their ships up. They have very limited resources. they might not be willing to just throw ships into a PvP event or a PvP game that others are running. So it would allow people to communicate better and say, right, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And for servers, even, I keep going back to it, but, even in our own servers, for players to be able to negotiate with each other and say, right, we're going to do this tonight between such a time and such a time. So if you're if you're free to play, you don't have the resources, but you have the ship and you want to get out there and earn the points, you know what time to log in and play your game, do your dailies, and those guys can go and do their daily tasks, while the other ones are having an absolute riot in a separate, I'm just saying, in a separatist system. But that all comes down to communication, and Scopely and the gamers aren't really promoting communication the way we should. There should be a voice channel. We should be able to go in and speak to each other on every server and agree things on a kind of global level, so that there's no unfairness, and the players and the gamers are encouraged to play against each other. So those of us that do want to do these things and warmonger a wee bit and have some fun with what we've earned, that's fine. But those that are trying to restrict things and progress their game and their base are also aware of, all right, these guys are going to be doing that between that time and that time, or aware of exactly what is going on, so that they can actually avoid it and move around. And I think that's open to everybody, not just Scopely. And yes, it would be great to see great content, but I think they've also got to give a wee bit more in the way of invention. They've got to come on and say, we're giving you this, we want you to use it, and here's some ideas how you might use it. And at that point, that's open doors to players. Whereas I think players are looking at content, especially with the Armadas, and they're just seeing, as we've said, in our server, we're not allowed to attack other people's Armadas. It has happened on occasion, and it's been a complete toys out the dummy, toys are out the pram, dummies are out. But if everybody was talking to each other and it was kind of agreed, and Scopely allowed us that, where we could go onto their official Discord and talk to each other and agree these things, it would make the game so much more enjoyable for everybody involved. And the thing about this game is we want to keep players at the game and playing at it, because we don't want to be in a game that's declining. We want to be in a game that's, it was built up so much at the start. We want to keep that momentum going, and we want to encourage good gameplay. And that's the key. I think it's got to be more communication, as well as a better delivery of the content, so that we know what we're getting and how we can use that to encourage our own gameplay.
Yeah, I think just going back to obviously what Thaylor said about, it's they're there to make money. Smaller players aren't buying packs because the value isn't there. Now, if there's more value in the game, I would be more confident to say a lot more either, small spenders or even free-to-play players would probably spend a bit more, and also the cost of the packs. I mean, I've just had a look at the packs that I've got in store. I've got 22 packs, and only 2 of them are under £20. So there's not enough small packs for smaller spenders or free-to-play players to buy as well, because after you buy that one, it goes away, and then you're then forced to buy £50, then £99, and then that's all you're really left with. So
I'm going to interject here. That is a great idea, and we talked about that a couple times in some other community panels. The thing is, I play another game called Stormfall, and in that game you need 3 scrolls to tier up your ability to craft an item. Well, when you get like 2 scrolls, it immediately pops up on your screen an offer to buy the 3rd scroll for $1. Now, take that concept and bring it into this game. What if you open your PvE things and you pick up a Gladius, right? Blueprint, and you say, let's say you have 5 of them or something like that. What if it all of a sudden popped up an offer that said, hey, buy the full Gladius for here, and then and then for X amount of dollars, and every time you get a new blueprint, it would go down in price until it got to a point. Remember when you were in school with the demand and the X and Y axes and all that stuff for your basic economics, supply and demand. Well, eventually it'll get to a point where, I'm just going to pay the $35 to get this ship, because it will give me the rest of these blueprints, rather than buying a $100 pack.
Yeah, it's another great idea that, because at that point then you can judge your own level of what you're willing to pay. So if you're
Yes.
not willing to pay, you can wait until you've got them all, and therefore you haven't paid a thing. Or if there's a certain level you reach and think, you know what, I'm willing to drop $20 as you're saying, or £20 at this point. I'm willing to drop that and buy it from this point, and then that way, you know, you set your own level in terms of what you're willing to put into the game.
The idea is called dynamic packs or dynamic offers.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. That.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I don't see a negative impact that would come from that.
And and so other things, like for example, you're talking about the repair, right? Well, everybody remembers the con repair event, right?
Yeah.
That was great. All right, it was
wasn't
absolutely
it?
great. Now, what if, taking your idea about the separatist events, what if you had a system where you went into that had a station that you can repair at a fraction of the cost and the time it takes to normally repair?
Yep.
Yeah, but
Do you
that's I think that would be, and that was one of the things we talk about, that the NPC bases that we raid should give us more, well, than directives or the uncommon pack that you can buy. They should give us, like I said, you have a Sally T5, they should give us an hour upgrade to a Sally T8, so my smaller users can use that, you know, like really rare things that you could use to upgrade your power.
So we had an idea about the idea of being able to borrow a ship. For example, let's say you go in a system and you go to a station, and because you're faction level, you could spend 100 faction and you can use a Saladin for an hour or two.
Right.
Or you could literally, what about this? What if you had an offer to pay $10 to use a Bortus for an hour or 2 hours, basically renting ships?
But that it's all around money. It shouldn't be around money.
Well, I'm just saying that this is okay. That's fine. And maybe you put 2 in faction points, whatever. But these are all ideas out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell, if the Ferengi came in and say, pay us X whatever, to rent a ship, I would do it.
Yeah, I think really bringing out new ways to get more powerful ships and all that. If it's going to cost, again, it just comes down to the value. A lot of players have stopped spending, even in my alliance and even on my server, myself included. A pack at my level doesn't get me what I need to upgrade. It doesn't even get me even close to an upgrade.
Yeah.
And that's, I've
stopped.
Ship. I'm talking about just one upgrade on a ship. So
what about?
And even if you upgrade, and even if you buy that, it doesn't give you enough power to defend yourself from the gap that exists from the whales. That should be a thing that they are not creating because they need the whales to be happy, but that's a thing they should create it quickly, because people don't upgrade more and don't buy more first because a pack doesn't have value to their gameplay. Maybe they upgrade the component. Second, even if they upgrade, then they still don't have power because the people with money have so much power that it's impossible to defend. So again, even if they can upgrade, Scopely should create content divided by ship, by power level or ship power or something like that, so people could actually think that, okay, I got a 400k Bortus, I will be able to win a lot with this. But no, they have to have a T8 Bortus to feel that they can actually win. Like the tournaments, there should be tournaments like we were talking, and this goes all around because the way Scopely works is it's no boundaries at all, so the money payers could have it all. And this is not going to work because people get demoralized. People, like Flando said, people actually get so demoralized they stop spending, and they even players that were pay to play, they now are free to play because they realize that doesn't get them anywhere.
Yeah, not even just stop spending. I have one guy in my alliance has actually quit today. The reason I got was it's a time sink, and he just can't keep up with the pay to win. So that's actually a player that's actually left the game now. Not as if they're still playing and still putting time in. That's them. They'll not come back to the game. They may come back maybe in a few months or something. Who knows? But as far as they're concerned, they have no future playing this game because they just don't see.
Certainly experienced that a lot.
And I'm sure there's a lot of alliances and a lot of servers who are having the same problems.
I think actually your dynamic pack sounds excellent and things like that, but I don't want to be. But we are gamers, and at the end of the day, we shouldn't be worrying about how Scopely go around making their money. They have an enormous marketing and commercial department. I'm sure they're very intelligent people, probably university qualified, etc. And they're in that job, and they know about dynamic packs and these things, and they'll have a strategy of how they get the money. But the simple fact is, if gameplay was improved and the number of people playing the game, they have a much greater, a bigger base to make earnings and money from, and to actually encourage more people to join the game. We all read the hype at the start about this was going to be the greatest MMO that was ever released, blah, blah, blah. And it has kind of peaked. And I think that's what I was trying to say. We need to they need to break that peak and encourage more players into the game and encourage gameplay that's fairer, but at the same time a little bit more competitive. And then they have the broad base of players that they can earn money by selling better packs, dynamic packs. If they had a broader base of players to I hate to say the word prey on, but to appeal to, yes, that's the right word, appeal to, then they're going to earn more money. But the simple fact is the way they've delivered the content, the lack of communication in the game between not only the admins and the people making it, but also the gamers in each server who are, as I keep saying, goldfish bowled into each other. If we could all discuss these matters on their Discord channel and find out all these.
Why not in game? Why not have if you are talking about the voice thing? Why not have an in-game voice channel ability?
I can tell you why. If you put it in game, the problem with an in-game voice app like this is the size of the application will be much larger.
Yeah.
First of all, and it adds complexity. It would be better if you just integrate to existing applications. There's Centrix out there. There's Zooms. There's Slack. All these Discord, obviously. It's better to integrate with them rather than trying to redesign something from scratch. So if you had a communication channel or whatever, and you open someone's profile or alliance chat or whatever, and you just all of a sudden are in a voice chat for some other third-party service, you see what I'm saying? That would be much better than trying to integrate it natively inside the game, because it would just add that complexity.
Fair point. Listen, I'm going to have to go. It's been an absolute pleasure, and taking a lot of great ideas away with me, and really enjoyed being part of the chat here. But I do need to excuse myself.
Good man.
So,
I want to thank you for coming in.
Nice one. All the best, y'all.
Good luck.
Yeah, good night.
Take care now. Bye.
I just want a really good game that's fun to play with a bunch of other people. That's it. That's my motivation. So the question is, do I want to spend my time to I guess we want, lack of a better word, to save the game, because I think that's what's happening here. We see the game, like you were saying, the game is in decline. The ratings in the App Store are going down. The player populations, people who are playing for months and months and months, are now leaving the server. They're disbanding they're getting kicked out of the alliance, and people are raiding all their resources. They're turning in all their tokens and all that. And we see this, and you kind of feel like you're on a sinking ship, and it feels it's hard to be motivated for that. So hopefully this discussion that we had today where we looked at the state of the game, especially after Armadas, the Armada implementation, and we have some glimmer of hope. And that's the idea. We want the developers to look at the game, designers. We want the marketers. We want the product managers, the product people, executives to look at this and say, look, we want the game to be successful. We want Scopely to be successful. We want this game to be successful. Here are some ideas on how to do that. Take the best out there. Like, for example, skins. Like you were talking about earlier about Pub. That game.
Yes.
Why can't I put Hello Kitty, decals on my Saladin? You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
and pay Scopely for the rights for that. Of course I have to pay Hello Kitty brand and all that. But you know what I'm saying? I should be able
Yes.
to what Panic was saying. I should be able to make my Bortus pink.
Name ships.
Name ships. The Devourer. Whatever you want to call it. Remember, we're independents. We're not under the Federation. We're not under the Romulans or the Klingons or whatever. We're our own ragtag group. You know what I'm saying? We're the independents.
The only way Armadas will be successful is if they do uncommon Armadas free.
Yeah.
I would say more easier and quicker to obtain enough directives to launch.
They should give, or they should give at least one Armadas directives in dailies. So every day you could do one Armadas with the dailies you do.
Yeah. Or even if they really want to, be tight about it, let us buy 100 uncommon directives from the Alliance store for 50 Alliance credits, the exact same way you would do it with a relocation token.
So here's the problem, guys. Armada directives is the wrong idea. They should be completely removed, and here's why. So you have an outpost. Let's say a Romulan outpost right there, right? And you go and attack it. All right. Now to attack these hostiles, these NPC hostiles, right? Why? We don't pay anything to attack a normal hostile. I sit there and I attack a hostile, a Romulan, warbird or whatever in Romulan space, and I get faction credits. So why don't just make these things spawnable and they just respawn?
You
There's
were
no
the
point.
one that's saying that we should give money to Scopely.
Yes, and
So?
but not for this. Not for this.
Okay.
What I'm saying is an outpost, right? An NPC outpost. Basically, if you think about it, it's basically an NPC base, right?
Mm-hmm.
They should just be all over the place. We just spend we go and attack them, and I don't even think we should even pay for Armada credits. And honestly,
but then Armada chest would disappear.
No. You know how we have
No?
PvE chests now? Like, for example, you go kill a level 34 hostile, right? You go kill a level 34 hostile, right?
Yeah, but you get epic ships blueprints because they somehow have to show where your money is.
What I'm saying is the chest that we get from an Armada target should be no different than your PvE and your PvP chest. The same thing. It's just a different drop. That's it.
Well, but you were the one saying that we should give money to Scopely, so it doesn't make any sense that you're saying
there are ways that Scopely can generate cash that would not make it a $100 pack. For example, you can have temporary boosts in game. For example, hold on. What if you paid $5 to have warp speed increased by 50% or something like that? You could have things where your damage mitigation is reduced by 20% for an hour.
But that's what I said. You were saying like I never spoke about it.
Oh no, you have. It's just not in this forum. I'm just saying you can have temporary. There's so many monetary ways to monetize this game without having a $100 pack. Microtransactions. The skins alone. would make millions of dollars for Scopely. You know what
You
I'm
two
saying?
guys sound like you are married sometimes, you know that, like.
Don't tell my wife.
Again, they're fighting again.
But what I'm saying is we have so many ideas. What we really need, in my opinion, what we really need to do is create these channels, the very specific topic. We need to have these topics, have a discussion panel, and then have a playlist of these available for the Scopely employee, developer, designers, or whatever to have access to. I don't think trying to talk to them directly is the route. I think it would be better if they would have come to us only after we have that content available for them to go through. So what I'm suggesting is we take all these ideas that we discussed today and others that we have not discussed.
Well, I've been sending Panic a lot of ideas since forever.
It's not gonna. I know it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Why?
Because he is gonna be like he's a community manager. Mm-hmm. He's not. He doesn't. He may have the ear of the designer kings. I get that. You are one of 1,000 private messages that he got that day. So what I'm then saying is, once you organize this content,
hold on, Relentless. Hold on,
and have all these videos to point to.
Hold on a wee second, Thaylor. Relentless was going to insult us or something.
No. Sorry. I wasn't. I'm not. I don't want to. I don't. But it's always been my opinion in these things that stick to what you're good at. And we are gamers, and we are on playing their game. And I really feel that if we're going to present this as a kind of format to them, and this is only my kind of conception of it, because we've put things to other designers and other games, is to keep it to gameplay and gaming, and say to them, look, we want to improve the gameplay, we want to improve the quality of gameplay, we want to make the most out of the content that you're giving us. We're not marketing officers. Like I said, they've got an enormous... I bet you've got very well qualified people there that know how to get the maximum amount of money out of every game. So I think we should stick to, how can we make the most of what you're giving us and put it to them in that sense and allow them to then say to us, we're going to do this and we're going to do that to encourage and show that, they're going to broaden the gameplay to increase the player base rather than we think this is a better marketing strategy, because there's somebody in a suit sitting at a desk who's paid to do that, and you're not going to influence him with that, but you could say to them, look, this is what you're giving us and we want to make the very most out of it, so here's some ideas how the gamers can get the most out of it. And like you said, about different skins and things, guaranteed these people have thought of that. And, you could bring it up and they could say, that's something that's coming in the future, blah, blah. To think that we could actually influence the way the game goes would be fantastic. That's something and all the time I've been playing, it's never really happened, to be honest. It's been promised.
So that's it, guys. That discussion went on a little bit longer than what we've shown there. Quite a lengthy one. We'll come back with another community panel discussion and cover more topics in the near future. And until then, leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button for more content like this and other content as well. And until the next time, guys, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And I'll catch you all again very, very shortly. Cheers.